I think he'll change. He is committed of his own level of service, and
privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty.
Queen for a very long time.
What if the most powerful decisions inside the British royal family were never made in front of cameras? What if the biggest battles weren't over the crown, but over memory? Nearly 30 years after her death, Princess Diana still shapes the monarchy in ways most people never see. Every anniversary, every documentary, every time her sons speak publicly, and through nearly all of it, one royal has stayed almost completely silent, Princess Anne. She's never given a tell-all interview, she's never commented on the family's most painful chapters, but royal watchers have spent decades trying to understand exactly where she stood, and still stands, when it comes to Diana. Stick with us until the end, because the last part of this story is the one most people get completely wrong. And if you don't want to miss where this series goes next, hit subscribe and turn on notifications now. Diana, Princess of Wales, married Prince Charles in 1981 in a ceremony watched by an estimated global television audience in the hundreds of millions. Almost overnight, she became one of the most photographed women in the world. What set her apart wasn't just the fame, it was how she used it. Diana became known for sitting with AIDS patients at a time when the disease carried enormous stigma, for campaigning against landmines, and for a warmth with the public that felt genuinely new for a royal family, often seen as distant and formal. Her marriage to Charles became increasingly strained through the late 1980s, and both gave now famous television interviews addressing the breakdown. Diana's 1995 BBC Panorama interview, among the most consequential in royal history. The couple divorced in 1996. Just over a year later, in August 1997, Diana died in a car crash in Paris. The public grief that followed was described by historians as one of the most significant displays of collective mourning Britain had seen in the modern era. Princess Anne, King Charles's younger sister, has built a decades-long reputation as one of the hardest-working and most private members of the royal family. She has consistently ranked among the royals completing the most official engagements each year, and she's known for giving very few personal interviews. Anne earned an Olympic equestrian appearance in 1976 and has held numerous military and charitable patronages throughout her life. Unlike some of her relatives, she has largely avoided public commentary on family disputes, letting her work speak instead. This is where a lot of online content gets it wrong, so let's be precise about what's actually documented. Anne and Diana were not known to be close friends. They came from different worlds. Anne raised inside the rhythms of royal duty from birth, Diana arriving into the family as a young outsider thrust into global fame almost overnight. Biographers and royal historians have generally described their relationship as respectful but distant, rather than warm. What's better documented is that Anne attended Diana's funeral and has, over the years, supported charitable causes tied to landmine clearance, a cause closely associated with Diana's own campaigning, notably her 1997 visit to Angola. Beyond that, there isn't strong public evidence of a close personal bond, and it's worth being skeptical of any video or article claiming to know exactly what one said to the other in private. Very little of that has ever been verified. Diana's legacy today is carried most visibly by her sons. Prince William and Prince Harry have both spoken publicly, in interviews and documentaries, about the impact of losing their mother at a young age, and about wanting to honor her memory in their own charitable work. William has spoken about mental health advocacy in ways that echo his mother's willingness to break royal norms around emotional openness. Harry, in his memoir and various interviews, has spoken at length about grief and about how his mother's death shaped his life and decisions. Diana's memory is also preserved formally, through statues, memorial gardens, and ongoing charitable foundations that carry her name. For King Charles, Diana's legacy is personal in a way it isn't for anyone else in the family. He was her husband for 15 years and the father of her 2 sons. Since becoming king in 2022, following Queen Elizabeth II's death, Charles has had to balance representing institutional continuity with the reality that his own history with Diana remains one of the most publicly scrutinized relationships in modern royal history. He has also spent much of the past 2 years managing his own cancer diagnosis and treatment, disclosed in 2024, which further shaped how the public has viewed his tenure as king. Camilla's path to becoming Queen Camilla was long and, for many years, deeply contested. Her relationship with Charles, which began before and continued during both of their first marriages, made her one of the most controversial figures in royal history through the 1990s. Public opinion shifted gradually over the following decades. She married Charles in 2005, taking the title Duchess of Cornwall rather than Princess of Wales, a title she chose to leave associated with Diana. When Charles became king in 2022, Queen Elizabeth II had publicly stated it was her sincere wish that Camilla be known as Queen Consort. Following the coronation in May 2023, she has been formally styled simply as Queen Camilla. Comparisons between Camilla and Diana have followed her for decades, and, according to royal commentators, are likely to remain part of how her tenure is discussed for years to come. Royal history isn't only built from coronations and titles. It's built from which stories get retold, which causes get carried forward, and which objects and places become symbols passed from one generation to the next. That's a large part of why Diana's legacy continues to generate so much public interest, nearly 3 decades on, not because of any single dramatic event, but because so much of what she represented is still being actively carried forward by the people who knew her. In the end, the real story isn't about who controls a memory, it's about who chooses to carry it forward. Diana's story continues through her sons, through the causes she championed, and through the millions of people who still feel connected to her decades later. Princess Anne continues serving quietly, mostly out of the spotlight. King Charles continues leading the monarchy while carrying a history that's still deeply personal. Queen Camilla continues building a chapter of her own. What do you think? Has Diana's legacy permanently changed how the royal family operates? Drop your take in the comments. If you enjoyed this one, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we've got more deep dives into royal history coming. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. What if